Start the recording here. Okay, social media session 1. So in social media, how would you rate your existing knowledge of doing social media campaigns and strategy on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think it's pretty high. I think this is probably my strongest. I'd say maybe 9, but I could be off the bar completely.
That's
if I was
okay.
going to rate myself, I'd say probably a 9.
Okay, awesome. And then obviously you said this is your strong suit, so you have definitely created and executed a social media strategy before?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So probably session 1 is definitely a build up to session 2. So there may or may not be some new things that you find in session 1, but session 2 is definitely going to be more of more detailed tips and tricks and insights and that kind of stuff. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So the objectives of this module today is the role of social media in digital marketing, how to select the correct social channel or channels for your market and considerations for each channel, social channel optimization for increased visibility, and social media strategy and planning essentials. So start with the role of social media. So social media allows people or companies to create, share, and exchange information with people and build relationships and communities online. The top roles of social media and digital marketing are the ability to see your target market up close and personal, to see the immediate problem resolution response, acknowledge both negative and positive feedback, to increase your brand recognition, to improve your brand loyalty, to have better customer insights, and you can be more relatable to your customers through social media than just through interaction with the website.
Mm-hmm.
So social media platforms are about building a community versus just a selling tool. The social web is still growing fast as a result of 2 key factors for mobile as well as older user adoption. So a lot of the younger generation are on so many different social channels. But because mobile is still growing, believe it or not, that's why social is continuing to grow, and then the older generation is definitely adopting it more and more. On social channels, people don't want to be sold to. However, people do buy off of social, so you have to be careful with, how you sell. Social media is also a place where people go to be social with their friends and family. So your content needs to fit in within their newsfeed. So there's a Rudder-Finn intent index graphic, and it's a great image showing the top categories for intent within social media. So the left-hand side, just as a methodology, the whole rationale behind the next chart I'm going to show you. So the methodology, the online intent index research study is updated on a quarterly basis. So each quarter, they base this on a national representative and census balance sample of at least 500 American adults, 18 years of age and older. And the index for each intent category is calculated on the basis of how frequently respondents report going online for 295 reasons or intent. So this is a very in-depth study that they do. And the categories that they break it out to is going onto social media for socialize, learn, have fun, shop, do business, advocate, or express yourself. And it's quite interesting when you look at this chart, especially thinking from a business perspective, the amount of people that go on for the shopping and learning. So shopping, you see that there's a lot of people doing comparisons versus doing the purchasing, but there's still a large quantity doing purchasing. But when you kind of approach social media, think of it as people are comparing, getting word of mouth, trying to understand why they should use your product or service over another product or service. And then the really big one is, and actually overall outweighs the socialized one, is learning. So educating, research, keeping informed, and tracking real-time stuff that's happening. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing social media strategy, you want to figure out how to select the correct social channel for your market. So the right social channel is dependent on your brand and what you're trying to accomplish. This is why it is important to have a plan before going full speed ahead. So there's some channel selection considerations, such as what are your social media objectives? So you need to be able to link your social media channels to your high-level strategy objectives, which you most likely have developed these high-level strategy objectives back in again, your whole content planning stage. And if you can't explain how a particular channel will help you achieve your goals, then you most likely shouldn't adopt it. So just because it seems like the cool thing to do, if it's not going to help you achieve your goals, why bother putting the time and effort into it? So do you want to increase brand awareness? If that's the case, you want to select a well-established platform with a large following. And within brand awareness, doing paid promotion is the most effective method for raising awareness and extending your reach. And you can do this on any size budget. So you don't have to be, you know, a big, super Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising guru and spending, you know, $10,000 a month. You can do it as little as $5 a day or whatever the minimum allowable costs Facebook allows you to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to increase lead generation, you definitely need to consider if you're generating B2B or B2C leads. And then if you want them to purchase or to opt in as part of your email lead nurturing campaign. So again, you really have to think about what the end outcome is for any social strategy and platform that you're going to be using.
Mm-hmm.
So what channels are your target audience using? That's really the most important thing, is to know that. So it's really important to have your persona defined, to understand what they're consuming and who they are. So way back when in the content marketing section, we really talked a lot about defining the personas. So you have that built up. This should be really easy to do and put forth because you know who they are. So, you know, for example, you shouldn't expect a 60-year-old woman target audience to be on Snapchat. It's just not practical. So just for interest's sake, I just dropped in this this graph to show the percent of U.S. adults, usually all the data is on U.S., who use each social media platform. These are just the big players that are typically tracked and have data on. So it's just kind of some information to help out.
Great.
And you also want to make sure you understand what channels your competitors are using. So you've probably already done this in your competitive analysis. So again, this is easy to determine at this point. So look at what type of content they post, how regularly, how many likes, shares do they get, how active are they, and how engaged is their audience. So if you haven't done your competitive analysis and filled all that stuff out before, you can definitely do it quickly here for your social channels. And BuzzSumo is definitely a good place to start to understand for your competitors how active they are, or not even how active your competitors are, but how active their users are in each social channel. So I did a little example in BuzzSumo, and it's a free tool. I haven't hit a limit yet, so you can play around with a bit in a free account. So you want to select the correct social channel. So within BuzzSumo, I used a popular magazine, prevention.com, just because I knew there's going to be a lot of data on that. So I put the URL prevention.com, and what it's doing here in BuzzSumo is telling me the top shared articles within BuzzSumo, and right here I've selected the past year. Have you ever used BuzzSumo before?
No.
Okay. So you'll see with all these different articles within prevention, what their users are sharing to or interacting with the most. So you can see Facebook for this top article is 25.5 thousand shares, engagements with Facebook, and the next highest is Pinterest. So you can see overall with these top articles that it's showing where the most engagement is. So if I were the competitor of prevention, or even up and coming, I want to be what prevention is, I would say, okay, the best audience here that I want to interact with is probably Facebook and Pinterest. Twitter is not really happening at all. Google Plus shares, not many people share on Google Plus, but we know why we do that anyway as a brand, just because Google loves Google. But you're really going to focus on the Pinterest and Facebook accounts, because that's where your key audience is at based on this information. Okay? And then also to get more data, again, with a free account, you get, I think, the top 5 results. So you can also say, okay, what's the most popular stuff in the past 6 months, past week, past 24 hours. So you can get a lot of information on engagement with the types of the content. And you can even go up to past 5 years. Again, it's a really good tool, and you get a lot of great free information. Okay? And you'll see even with the past 6 months, with prevention, it's still, the audience is Facebook and Pinterest.
Right.
Another way you can do too, in addition to to BuzzSumo, is use that SimilarWeb Insights Chrome extension and put that on, openupprevention.com, click SimilarWeb, and then you're going to see this validates what BuzzSumo is telling you, that their most engaged audience are from Facebook and Pinterest.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
So then you want to say, what kind of content do you want to create? So do you want to share industry updates, company news, and white papers? If that's the type of content you're really going to focus on, then channels such as LinkedIn, SlideShare, and possibly Twitter are the best channels to target. If you're looking at sharing video content, then you want to go to places like Instagram, Vine, Snapchat, Periscope, YouTube, all depending on your audience demographic. If it's video content, again, your audience is a very young demographic, you want to be all over Snapchat, potentially Instagram.
Just so you know, for Vine is actually gone.
Is it gone now?
Yeah, they went bankrupt.
Oh, really? Well, I'll take that off. My daughter was all over Vine all the time.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm surprised it went bankrupt, but I think people like the digital. Like I went to a couple digital conferences recently, and they just said that they just didn't really have the business sense to keep it going.
Oh, that's too bad. So that's obviously really recent, right?
Yeah. Within like the last year, this year, 2017.
Yeah, because I know, during school, my daughter was in Vine watching all that stuff. So, I'll take that out. It's amazing. Channels come and go. It's crazy. And Periscope was kind of interesting. People were doing a lot of live video feeds and doing training sessions and all that kind of stuff through Periscope. I don't know how active or how many people have adopted it, but it was getting some traction. But again, maybe not the best place. It all depends on your target market and your segments and everything. And then again, if you want to share more image-based content, the obvious choice is Instagram and Pinterest, and potentially Tumblr as a secondary channel, because Tumblr is very good with people engaging in images. And again, Tumblr has been around for a really long time, and people undervalue the power of Tumblr for getting target audience and engagement.
Right.
And then there's also, if you're looking to share editorial thought leadership content, LinkedIn is definitely the go-to for that, but there's also another one called Medium. I don't know if you've heard of Medium.
Yeah, I have heard of it recently.
Yeah, so it's, from what I'm understanding, it's gaining some traction, but it's definitely more of an intellectual type place. It's not a typical social media type channel. So now you want to know, how many channels can you manage? Well, first of all, if you only have one person managing all of your digital marketing activities, you can't expect that one person to be able to do a great job managing 5 social media accounts effectively. They can do it, but it's not going to be amazing. So you want to start with 2 primary strong social channels best suited to your audience. And then if you need or want to add new channels, I would drip feed one at a time and measure performance of the new channel. So, use social scheduling tools such as Buffer. That can help. But at the same time, don't look as natural. Well, Buffer and stuff doesn't look as natural and is still not able to engage with the audience. So, tool, I don't know if you use Buffer or Hootsuite, but
Hootsuite is what I use.
You use which?
Hootsuite.
Yeah, Hootsuite's handy. I like Buffer too. Buffer's pretty good to use. Again, it helps with scheduling, but it takes a little bit of that personal interaction out of it as well. But again,
definitely.
Yeah. So again, do really, really well at a couple of channels. And if you want to add more, do a little test with the extra channel while you're still doing well with the other channels.
Right.
So I'm going to do a few highlights of some of the primary channels. For each of them, I'm going to have some benefits and some considerations. So Facebook, this is really a go-to. It's probably one of the longest standing ones. It's got very trackable data. It's still the largest social media platform from a usership perspective. It's great because you can install a pixel on your website and retarget users. It uses multiple forms of media. It's got a fantastic paid advertising component that can help you either increase followers or drive direct sales, and you can do it within or outside Facebook. It's got a relatively low cost for advertising and technically one of the largest advertising channels. It's really effective for both B2B and B2C. You can sell, create a following, and have a place for customers to engage and have discussions. And you can also do precise audience targeting. So Facebook has a lot of great benefits. But the considerations with Facebook is the algorithm for organic posts of businesses showing up in news feeds continuously changes, which gives you limited control of what people can see from your business, which is why people are primarily using it as a paid search engine now to even be found on the for businesses. But the other thing too is people are going into Facebook and treating it kind of like Google. So, consider Google, as a major search engine. Facebook's a search engine as well because it's got that bar where you can search Facebook. So now it's like its own internal search engine. And the other consideration with Facebook is maintenance of negative content and spam. So you really have to be careful with all that kind of stuff. So this article from Sprout Social is fantastic, and it gives some really great demographic information for most of the main channels. So that can definitely help when you're looking at what channels are applicable to your persona and your target audience. So I have the link to the article there, and within the article, here, it's right here. So I've just taken little snippets of just this insight, but there's a lot more details that you can get within this article. So I highly recommend going and seeing this information in more detail. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So with Instagram, the benefits of that is you can put high quality content that you can repurpose on other platforms or on your website. And it's not just your high quality content. You can repurpose other people's content as long as you give proper attribution to it. Lots of influencers are on Instagram, and they can provide great content to utilize for your brand as well. And then these influencers are creating the content either knowing or unknowingly, but again, anytime you use somebody else's content, you need to attribute it. There's typically high levels of real-time engagement on Instagram, and usually positive sentiment and engagement. So Instagram's not full of haters. They're very, very engaging and positive, and just a really good audience. And it's a good channel for education and information. However, with education and information of it, it really has to come through imagery. So, through imagery, it's great to tell your brand story. So even imagery is really good, but it's a consideration where it's very image driven, which means you have to have the resources to create this amazing imagery and be able to convey messages through the images. The hashtags within Instagram lead to greater discoverability of your content, which is great. Within Instagram, it's not uncommon to have 8 to 12 hashtags. So that's acceptable, whereas Facebook, if you start putting 8 to 12 hashtags, that's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to, play the right behavior on a channel. And then Instagram is definitely not a great selling platform since links cannot go into the descriptions of your posts. So you really have to drive, it's really great for brand awareness. But again, direct selling is complicated. And then out of that article, I just put the snippet of the demographics for you. Pinterest is fantastic because it's got great shoppability. It's very beneficial in selling fashion, home products, food, travel, or anything else targeted to women. And now you can pay to boost your content in Pinterest, which is fantastic. And 55% of online shoppers name Pinterest as their favorite social media outlet, which is very interesting. So if you're working with e-com or something very, very, online purchasing centric, it's a great channel that you maybe not have considered before. And it also can be considered as an online library for your brand or business. Now there's really good SEO benefits within Pinterest because you can pin your website or articles to your feed. And then it also has focus functionality. So you can create boards in Pinterest that are very targeted to something very specific within your business. So you can have different boards, again, depends on what the business is, but you can kind of niche down into specific areas. And the really cool thing about Pinterest is it does one thing and one thing well. And it's just, ultimately, it's a passion pit. People that are in Pinterest and they have these boards that are highly interactive and people are engaged with is because people are passionate about the stuff that's getting pinned, and passion sells. And then this creates generally a higher conversion rate because of the passion for these, especially these different niches that Pinterest excels in. So some considerations in Pinterest is it's really not ideal for the majority of male-focused products. Therefore, it's a much narrower traffic demographic. However, that's not to say that you can't promote male e-com type stuff and target the women to buy for the men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just typically not males that are doing the transactions. It's definitely a difficult channel to automate. And then it's very demanding for creating content and the amount of sharing required to get noticed. But again, if this is one of your two channels, just do it really, really well and you'll see the rewards of it. And the other thing with Pinterest is you really lack control over where your content gets pinned. For example, if Coca-Cola has pins, which Pepsi was using for promotion, that's probably not a cool thing. Or if you have something that maybe a group that your organization doesn't really align with using your content in their pins, then that's not a good thing either, but you can't control that.
Right.
Again, here's your demographic information, and it's very clear that women trump men on this one. So Twitter, the benefits of Twitter is it's a large male usership. The engagement in the business and technical focused industries is really high, and we even find that with some of our clients that are very industrial. They do so well on Twitter, and it's amazing. And it's great to be utilized as a customer service add-on for social networking for business. So if you have a business that is very customer service centric, Twitter's a great engagement place for them, just to say, instead of having them call in or having to deal with customer service, the customer service can be extended through the use of Twitter. So it's beneficial for brand loyalty, and the SEO benefit is Google indexes tweets. So if you do Twitter strategically and you get your keywords within your tweets and it's relevant and it gets engagement and shared, you can show up in the search engines for that, or in Google specifically. And there are no algorithms restricting your message from reaching your followers, unlike what Facebook does. The considerations, though, is because it's a live updating feed, it's extremely fast-paced, which means you need to be more active in this channel versus other channels. So when you're considering Twitter, you have to say, okay, I need to invest a lot of time into this and make sure I do a lot of tweets. It's not about a one tweet a day. You have to continuously make sure your message is in front of your audience. And you're limited to the characters, which is 140, which we all know. So your messages need to be very concise. So the content within Twitter is very link-based to take people to the full content. So again, every time you tweet, you have to think about what is the purpose of this tweet? What action do I want the user to do? And what's it going to achieve my business? And then within Twitter, again, with a lot of social accounts, there's a lot of fake and spam accounts. So you can easily get spammed using Twitter. And it's difficult to determine how active your audience is. You can only see if they engage.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I said
you mean like if they're reading versus actually tweeting themselves?
Exactly. So you can't see if something's been read.
Yeah.
You can only see if they take action on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes it a little more complicated to get real metrics from Twitter. So you can be going crazy sending out all these tweets, and maybe your audience is interested in looking at it, but they don't care to share it, so it's effective, but then to you it doesn't appear effective because you don't see anything happening.
Right.
Yeah, so I did say it's very male focused. Obviously the demographics information here doesn't support what I say, but I just know based on the interactions that we have and our clients have that is more male focused from that.
Right.
So YouTube is another social channel. It's a search engine and a social channel at the same time. So it's the second largest social channel in the world next to Facebook. And obviously it's only video content, but there's a great opportunity in YouTube to provide instructional videos, how-to videos, educational videos, day in the life of type videos for your client. You can post webinars, share interviews, behind the scenes look at your brand. And the SEO value for YouTube, the same as Twitter, is you can just rank in the search results if you have everything optimized really well. And it's so easy to optimize your videos because not many people know how to do it properly.
Mhm.
And it provides you an opportunity to make people like you. So it's a lot more personal and engaging because they can see you and your brand a little more personal than just, tweets. And it's a great channel to grow trust by demonstrating your knowledge. So some considerations in YouTube, though, are you want to make videos which are personable. Telling stories and trying to relate to your viewers as much as possible is important. People like people who are helpful. So the more helpful you can be within your channel, the better off you are. So if you have a client or yourself in the service industry, you want to give away some tips and tricks for free. You're not going to give away the farm, but you're going to be helpful. You want to help solve problems to people.
Mhm.
When they find you and you solve problems, a lot of times people can do things and follow your video, but then they're going to say, oh, but I don't know how to do all this rest of the stuff. They'll come to you or your client, depending how the problems are solved, because they say, okay, I know, thank you for helping me, but now I have a bigger problem to solve and you're the expert. Can you do it?
Mhm.
So it's definitely growing that authority and being a problem solver to your audience. So a little tip for YouTube is write down about 10 problems that people in your niche might face, and then create a video for each of those problems with solutions. And by creating separate videos, you have more content which can be optimized and personally or potentially rank in the search engines. So you don't have to create a 30-minute video about how to do a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe create, 10 3-minute videos, and then put them in a playlist.
Yeah.
So there's so much that you can do with YouTube as far as leveraging playlists. And then once you have them in a playlist, embed that playlist in your website. Because having videos embedded in your website definitely helps with SEO.
Mhm.
And you can also share that playlist onto your social channels. So the Sprout Social article that I had doesn't have any demographics on YouTube, so I just didn't put that in.
Okay.
So LinkedIn. The benefits of LinkedIn are it's very B2B focused. There's a lot of groups and discussions for most business topics. So if you want to get very into LinkedIn, you want to make sure it's not just about posting a few articles for your business. It's about joining and becoming active in these groups. And again, it's about becoming an authority in your industry. And it has some great advanced filters to search for prospects. So you can use it as a soft sale tool or a lead gen tool. And in the next session, I'll talk a little bit more in depth about how to utilize and leverage some of these channels with some things that you probably don't know. And it's great for networking, prospecting, as I said. But some considerations on LinkedIn is it's not a platform for a direct or a hard sell. You want to focus on being an authority and an industry expert. And if you want to do some advertising on LinkedIn, it's definitely a higher cost than places like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you really have to keep in mind, and as you coach your clients, you have to keep them in mind that their personal profile, your personal profile, reflects on the brand. So you need to ensure it is updated and up to standard. Otherwise, your company page and brand may lose credibility. And you need to really keep the content to the point. It's not about creating a lot of random fluff. It's people in there are consuming and researching and want the right information, but not big long dissertations. And then here's the demographics from the article regarding LinkedIn. Now Google Plus, again, the kind of orphaned social channel that you really have to sort of acknowledge. So the benefits of Google Plus is it provides credibility and visibility to your brand. And then by combining Google Maps and Google Business allows you to take advantage of your G+ SEO value. So Google Plus, your content gets indexed immediately and will show up in search results. So everything you post, especially off your website, share it to Google Plus, get it onto Google Plus. Or even if you're finding offsite content for your brand, make sure you share that into Google Plus. Because again, Google loves itself. And there's really, believe it or not, there's a really large target audience unique to the Google Plus community. So there's traffic coming in there. I don't know who uses it, but there's people that use it. And they follow, they consume the content. So you want to, potentially find, if you're going to use Google Plus as a channel, you want to engage in the communities within your niche, and that will help grow your social network for your business as well. So the other consideration within Google Plus is you want to post as your company, but also use your personal profile to share the content within your circles too. Most likely people in your circles that you have, if they're friends or whatever in your circles, aren't going to see it. But again, it still helps. There's those random people that will engage and do stuff with it. And Google will see this and acknowledge it faster than other social channels.
Mm-hmm.
So quickly on Snapchat. The benefits to Snapchat is we're finding a lot of times big brands can engage and target younger audiences. And if the big brands are targeting the younger audience, it gives the young audience a perception that this big brand is staying relevant. So it's very good for brand awareness and showing the personality of the company by using raw posts, like day in the life style posts. But again, it's not really good for any sort of major campaigns. It's a nice to have, especially if you're targeting that younger demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Consideration is if you're working with a small local business or a startup business, not recommended because it's going to cost you too much time and it's difficult to measure ROI. But if you have something like you're working with a client who is doing a local event, say for example, Ribfest in Barrie. We just had
Mm-hmm.
Ribfest in Barrie. That's probably a good channel to have Snapchat because they're trying to get some of the younger demographic coming in. Or I'm sure there's lots of other events and stuff that are going on down in the city. Again, what is that? Is that on the Ontario, the big concert series that Ontario is doing for the Ontario 150? So again, that's appealing to a younger demographic. Snapchat would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't use Snapchat for a plumber.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So social channel optimization for increased visibility. So a lot of people completely miss optimizing their social channel profiles. So using your keywords really does matter. You want to naturally add your keywords throughout your about sections. You want to make sure that consistent branding is performed across all channels and ensure it's consistent with what your website branding is. Because when your community or your users go from one channel to another into your website, you don't want to make them feel confused or they're at the wrong place if they go cross-channel. And this is, again, it's often missed with a lot of companies. They just put something that looks pretty, but it's just not cohesive or aligned with one another. So filling in as much information as possible, including hours, contact information, address, etc., is really important. And if you can verify an account, do it. So you can verify Facebook and Google My Business. And again, you never know when channels are going to change verification methods or requirements, etc. But if there's a verification method, do it. I'm just going to give an example here for some optimization. So you'll see this company over here, which is just killing it in social, and they're a portable sawmill company. So Norwood has this about section, and you can see within the about section how many different areas and how many details they have within each area about the company. So they've taken a lot of time to make sure they've put as much information as they can in here. Mm-hmm. Their competitor, Logosol, has done some, but not quite everything. So they've got a little bit of a story, but they don't have any links within the story to other pages. They're missing, they've got a little about section, a little product section, but they don't have any awards. Maybe they don't have any, maybe they're not that great, but there's an impressium. They're missing a click to call. Or actually, it's up there. Sorry, I missed that. But again, you can see the big difference in here, right? And then this, they've done all in one paragraph instead of kind of doing separate paragraphs to break up the content a bit for reader or user readability. Mm-hmm. But the important thing, too, is just to make sure when you're doing all this, make sure you have keywords in there. Some of your primary keywords that you really want to get found for. And here's another example of the YouTube channel. So what Norwood has done in their About section is they've put a great amount of description, as much description as they can. They've got a call to action going on. Even though this doesn't hyperlink, they're still telling the user somewhere to go. And the other thing they've done is linked to all their other profiles. So we've got linked to their website, to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+. So they've linked to, it's cross-linking in the channels, which is really important. So I'm going to go to the Logosol YouTube channel, and that's all they've done.
Right.
You can see how this should show up more and be more prevalent than Logosol. So what I did was in the YouTube search, I put in the keyword Logosol in the search bar in YouTube, and their brand page is quite a bit down on the results. So they really should be, as a brand. And then you look at the top, we've got product of the day. Those are the channels that are showing up. Not even the brand channel is showing up for videos in the top ones, which means they're not really optimizing their videos very well either. Norwood, for example, though, I type in just Norwood. That's their channel. That's showing up near the top. But also we've got Norwood Portable Sawmills, Norwood Portable Sawmills, Norwood Portable Sawmills. So most of the results in the top of page 1 of the search results for YouTube are all most of those channel-owned videos. Okay? So next you get into social media strategy and planning essentials. So social media strategy is a simple statement outlining goals and measurable objectives within the social media platforms and target outcomes. So you want to provide a high-level, clear strategy, and this high-level, clear strategy is critical to be able to organize and prioritize your actions and activities. So things you're going to ask are, ultimately, what's the point? What are your objectives of using the selected social media channel? Who is your audience? Who will you be interacting with? What is your biggest so what? And how will you be human? What is the tone of voice for your brand and your social channels? You're going to be kind of goofy, funny, off the cuff kind of thing, or is it a very serious, technical, matter of fact type channel? So you want to make sure you're consistent with the tone of voice that you're using and it resonates with the target audience that you've chosen. And then the strategy also helps you define the relevant platforms to connect with your existing and new customers. It also helps you define the relevant platforms. Actually, I just said that. I duplicated that, sorry. So if you simply post content to appear active, how do you know that content is contributing to the business positively? So when you don't have a structured approach to communication and measurement, you really risk wasting resources on undirected activities. You want to make sure you don't bite off more than you can chew in your social strategy. So keep the scope narrow and focused. Again, I'm going to keep saying this, do 1 or 2 things really well. And then you want to document all of this in the social media strategy plan. There's a couple of really great, I decided not to reinvent the wheel for this one and create my own thing. I'm cheating, and I have a couple of really good resources for social media strategy templates. So there's a link for those. Here's the, bring it into view here. So through Smartsheet, they actually have a lot of really great templates for different things. I don't recommend going there. And it's free, which is great. So here's a high level, again, your social media strategy. So there's going to be a lot of information that you've already done, which is good, but now you just want to make sure you're focusing specifically on your social goals. So what's your company defined socially? What's your mission? What's your vision socially? So again, it's not overall. Really think about social, okay? Target audience, your message, strengths, your weaknesses. Again, not overall, just social. You've already done the competitive analysis, so you can pull out your social part of the competitive analysis and, again, summarize it on this sheet. And then say what you do better and what you can do differently than your competitors. Maybe some roadblocks and benefits. So this is your plan building, so some objectives. Again, I'm not going to read through everything. It's pretty straightforward, measurable goals. Again, all these different channels are in here, but just only do it for the channels that you're going to target. What are you going to measure and how are you going to measure it? because you need to know the what and how before you even really can accomplish the right things.
Right.
And then execute, implement, and launch. So here we're not talking about the specifics of what you're going to be saying in social. It's just high level, and this is going to guide your whole social calendar and social content. So if you ever feel like, you know, a lot of times people say, I'm just going to go do social, and I'm going to do 3 posts a day for Facebook, and I'm going to do 10 tweets a day, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's because I'm running a campaign on blue jeans. But you go ahead and do it, but you don't really know. And then you keep going and do that for a couple of weeks, and then you go, oh, this is going really well, but then you just completely lose track of what are your ultimate business goals and what's the point and the so what, and what are you going to do next. So this keep focused and keep going back to this, saying, okay, and then you can revise this once in a while, but it really, you know, have this to lean on as your rock, your structure. Okay?
Yeah.
There's another one too through Hootsuite, but again, it's up to your preference on, what you feel is most comfortable for you to use. So overall for today, the key points are to determine your purpose and expected results from social media. Based on your competitor research and your brand goals, you select your 2 to 3 channels. You create a strategy for the selected channels, and you know your target audience. And then you go ahead and optimize your channels, the ones that you selected, for the best visibility in both Google and within the social platform search engines. So again, today was the foundation of social, and the next session is going to be a lot more in depth of leveraging social in some different channels and really cool things you can do with it. So based on today's session, was there anything that you learned that you didn't know before, or were you pretty much still waiting for more?
No, yeah, it's a good foundation. You know, I think, you know, same old.
Yeah.
I'm easy.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I did run this a little bit short. I potentially might be a little bit longer on the next one, just because I have a feeling the content's going to take a bit more to get through. But again, as always, ask me any questions you have, and we'll work through it. Now, you didn't schedule anything, did you?
No, because the next 2 weeks, I think you didn't have anything open.